On a sunny 15th of April afternoon, hundreds gathered at a Los Angeles cemetery to pay their final respects to television legend Wink Martindale in a fictional tribute event. What followed would become one of the most talked about imagined celebrity funerals in history, a celebration so unconventional it sparked national debates about how we honor the dead. The service began not with somber organ music, but with the energetic theme song from Martindale's classic game show Tic-Tac-Dough. As guests took their seats, they were handed buzzers instead of prayer cards. The coffin, draped not in flowers, but in a giant replica of the show's dragon mascot, stood center stage. This was no accident. The beloved game show host had meticulously planned every detail of his final send-off, leaving specific instructions that his funeral should be more show than sorrow. Eyewitnesses described surreal moments that blurred the line between memorial service and television taping. Professional game show models in sparkling gowns served as ushers. Instead of a eulogy, comedian friends delivered a roast-style tribute, sharing embarrassing behind-the-scenes stories from Martindale's 50-year career. At one point, a giant wheel reminiscent of Wheel of Fortune was rolled out, with family members taking turns spinning it to determine which Martindale catchphrase would be played next. The most shocking moment came when a pre-recorded video of Martindale suddenly interrupted the proceedings with his trademark booming voice shouting, "That's the wrong answer!" A prank that left mourners simultaneously startled and laughing through tears. The unconventional approach sparked immediate controversy. While many guests found the light-hearted tribute perfectly fitting for a man who dedicated his life to entertainment, others were visibly uncomfortable. Several older relatives left early, with one later telling reporters it was disrespectful and more appropriate for a Vegas stage than a funeral home. Religious leaders weighed in on social media, with some praising the celebration of life and others condemning what they saw as trivialization of death. Psychologists have since analyzed the event, noting how Martindale's approach reflects changing attitudes toward death in modern society. Dr. Rebecca Solis of UCLA's Department of Psychology explains, "We're seeing a cultural shift where baby boomers and younger generations increasingly want personalized, meaningful goodbyes rather than rigid traditional ceremonies." Martindale's funeral represents this desire to celebrate individuality even in death. The impact extended beyond philosophical debates. Funeral industry professionals report a significant increase in requests for themed memorials since 2019, with everything from video game motifs to motorcycle processions becoming more common. Martindale's own funeral director has become something of a celebrity in his field, giving TED Talks on reinventing the modern funeral. 5 years later, the discussion continues. Was this a brilliant final tribute from a master entertainer who knew exactly how he wanted to be remembered, or did it cross an important line in how society mourns? Perhaps the answer lies in Martindale's own words from a 2015 interview. "I've spent my life making people smile. Why should I stop just because I'm gone?" Martindale's funeral didn't just make headlines, it sparked a movement. In the years following his unconventional service, funeral trends have shifted dramatically across North America. A 2023 survey by the National Funeral Directors Association revealed that 62% of Americans now prefer non-traditional celebration of life ceremonies over conventional funerals, with many explicitly citing Martindale's service as inspiration. Television networks have even begun developing reality shows about unique memorials, while funeral homes now offer theme package options ranging from sports tributes to Broadway-style productions. This cultural shift has forced religious institutions to reconsider centuries-old traditions, with some progressive churches now offering game show gospel services that blend faith with lighthearted competition. Martindale, ever the innovator, seems to have hosted one final game that changed the rules entirely, this time for how society approaches mortality itself. What makes Martindale's approach so revolutionary isn't just the spectacle, it's the psychological wisdom behind it. Grief experts now point to his funeral as a textbook example of humor therapy in mourning, a technique shown to reduce cortisol levels by up to 39%, according to Johns Hopkins research. The very elements that shocked traditionalists, the buzzers, the roasts, the pre-recorded pranks, created what psychologists call cognitive dissonance that actually helped attendees process loss more effectively. Martindale's daughter revealed in her memoir that planning the unconventional service became therapeutic for the family, transforming their grief into creative collaboration. "Dad didn't want us paralyzed by sadness," she wrote. "He left us with one final production to direct, knowing the show must go on." This philosophy has since been adopted by countless families, proving that sometimes laughter really can be the best medicine, even in life's final act. The ripple effects of Martindale's funeral have transformed the death care industry into a billion-dollar innovation sector. Specialty funeral planners now offer packages that would have been unthinkable a decade ago, from holographic performances by the deceased to interactive memorial apps apps where guests can swipe right on favorite memories. The Celebrity Send-Off Company, founded just 2 years after Martindale's service, reported 300% growth last year alone, catering to clients wanting everything from pyrotechnic displays to funeral flash mobs. Even casket manufacturers have joined the trend, offering customizable models with built-in LED screens and surround sound systems. This new experience economy of death care shows no signs of slowing down, with market analysts predicting it will surpass traditional funeral revenues by 2028. What began as one game show host's final wish has blossomed into an entirely new way for people to say goodbye, and an unexpectedly lucrative business opportunity in the process. Perhaps the most profound lesson from Martindale's approach lies in how it transformed mourners from passive observers into active participants. Traditional funerals often leave grieving families feeling helpless, but Martindale's interactive model gave attendees specific roles to play, whether spinning the wheel, sharing stories, or even groaning at bad jokes. Grief counselors note this participatory element creates what they call therapeutic agency, helping people process loss through action rather than just endurance. There's healing in pressing that buzzer, noted one therapist whose practice now incorporates game elements for grieving children. Even the controversial aspects served a purpose. The debates about appropriateness gave people something to focus on besides pure sorrow. In Death, as in his game shows, Martindale understood a fundamental truth: engagement eases pain. His greatest legacy may be proving that the healthiest goodbyes aren't about sitting quietly, but about finding meaningful ways to keep playing the game until the final curtain falls. While Martindale's unconventional funeral inspired many, it also reignited an important ethical discussion about the boundaries of memorialization. Some sociologists argue that highly personalized services risk turning funerals into spectacles that prioritize entertainment over genuine mourning. Dr. Eleanor Pritchard of Harvard's Death Studies Institute cautions, when we focus too much on creating Instagrammable funeral moments, we may inadvertently commercialize grief and create unrealistic expectations for bereaved families. Religious leaders from various faiths have expressed concern that flashy memorials could erode spiritual traditions that have provided comfort for centuries. Yet proponents counter that authenticity in death rituals matters more than adherence to convention. If a game show format truly reflected Martindale's spirit, then it served its purpose beautifully. This tension between tradition and personal expression continues to evolve, with funeral directors now training in grief ethics to help families strike a right balance. Martindale's funeral didn't just change how we say goodbye, it revolutionized how we remember. The interactive nature of his service pioneered what historians now call participatory memorialization, where the deceased's story gets told through collective experience rather than passive observation. Modern memorial technology has taken this concept even further, with platforms allowing mourners to contribute videos, photos, and stories that get woven into dynamic digital memorials. Some families have created augmented reality experiences where visitors can interview AI versions of their loved ones, while others organize annual remembrance events modeled after Martindale's game show concept. This shift recognizes that a life's meaning isn't contained in a single obituary, but in the living memories we actively recreate together. As one grief blogger put it, Wink didn't want a finale, he wanted an encore. In doing so, he gave us all permission to rethink not just how we die, but how we continue to exist in the hearts and minds of those we leave behind. Emerging research in thanatology, the study of death and dying, suggests that unconventional funerals like Martindale's may offer unique psychological benefits. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Grief Therapy found that families who designed highly personalized memorials reported 42% lower rates of complicated grief compared to traditional services. The act of curating these unique experiences appears to create what researchers call narrative closure, allowing mourners to process loss through creative expression rather than rigid rituals. Therapists now incorporate memorial design into grief counseling, helping clients brainstorm meaningful ways to honor their loved ones' personalities. From motorcycle processions for bikers to cooking demonstrations for chefs, these customized goodbyes transform passive mourning into active healing. Martindale's legacy lives on in therapy offices where "What Would Wink Do" has become shorthand for encouraging bereaved families to honor their loved ones' true spirits. What began as one American game show host's final wish has blossomed into a worldwide movement redefining death customs. In Tokyo, Celebration of Life cafes now host game show-style memorials, complete with karaoke tributes. London's newest funeral home features an interactive memory wheel inspired directly by Martindale's service. Even traditionally conservative cultures are embracing elements of personalized memorials. Saudi Arabia recently saw its first themed funeral for a beloved soccer star, complete with green and white floral arrangements in team colors. This global shift reflects changing attitudes toward mortality in the digital age, where death is increasingly viewed as a continuation of one's personal brand rather than just an end. As international funeral directors gather at conferences to share innovative practices, Martindale's influence is evident in every discussion, proving that his final show wasn't just entertainment, but the start of a quiet revolution in how the world says goodbye. What do you think? Should funerals remain solemn traditional affairs, or is there value in personalizing goodbye ceremonies to reflect the departed's personality? How would you want to be remembered? The conversation about life, death, and how we honor both continues. And Wink Martindale's unforgettable final show ensured his voice remains part of that discussion.